How's it going, Bruins fans? Welcome back into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on the Fans for Sports Network from Sports Illustrated. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow me at TCav30 on Twitter/X and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. That is both on Twitter/X and over on Facebook. Today we're going to be taking a look at a recent report that came out from On3 Sports and Pete Nakos talking about the most impactful, or the players, the transfers from this past spring that are going to make the biggest impact for their team next season. And for no surprise, the Bruins take the number one spot with Nico Iamaleava. He is number one. And then, interestingly enough, you also have Joey Aguilar, who was UCLA's projected starting quarterback when he transferred back in December. He has since transferred out, considering Nico has came in to take the spot. But Aguilar is number two on that list from Pete Nakos and On3, talking about, this is basically just how can the player transferring, that individual player, make a major impact to kind of change what the program looks like for that given season. Now for Tennessee, they made up college football playoff last year and had a pretty good season at 10-3. Competed atop the SEC, one of the toughest conferences. And Joey Aguilar, who had a pretty nice year for App State last year, there was a lot of hype for him entering the Bruin program. 3,000 yards through the air, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He had 55 touchdowns and 24 picks in his 2 years with the Mountaineers. Completed just 56% of his passes last season. I was surprised to see Joey up there as the number two on that list, because you have other guys like David Bailey from Stanford heading to Texas Tech. You also got Jaden Ott, the running back from Cal, heading to Oklahoma. Trebor Pena, the really good wide receiver that the Bruins were thinking about getting. He transfers from Syracuse to Penn State. Those were all big names. And for Aguilar to be put up there second, that should mean a lot for how the Tennessee Volunteers are going to come out in the SEC next season. But focusing more on what Iamaleava is going to be doing for this Bruin team, I mean, anything better than 5-7 is good enough to be a big impact for this team. Because when you were looking at the schedule with Aguilar at quarterback, and UCLA has grabbed a good portion, a good chunk of transfers since Aguilar came in, but I was looking at the schedule at 6-6, 7-5. You take a look at it now with all of the transfers that have come in on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive secondary, and you also take into account Nico being that star quarterback. I think this team gets to 8 or 9 wins. They could go 8-4, 9-3 very, very easily. And I think if, you go 8-4, 9-3, Nico definitely is the biggest impact. Now, obviously, these are preseason. It's not anything that we have seen on the field yet, but it's going to feel really good when Nico steps out there for week 1 against Utah. If he slings a couple of touchdown passes early on and he starts scrambling with his feet a little bit, you're going to start to feel it there at the Rose Bowl. This Bruin team is going to be geared up and ready to go for this season, especially taking on not the toughest Big Ten schedule. When you look at UCLA schedule for this season, with Nico at quarterback, I only see 2 teams that really scare them, and that's number 1, Ohio State, and Penn State. 2 of the top teams, always the 2 top teams in the Big Ten, minus Oregon and maybe a few others, Michigan from year to year. But looking at that Ohio State game, it's going to be cool for Nico to kind of have that rematch after he lost in the college football playoff last year to the Buckeyes, who eventually went on to win the whole deal. But Nico's going to get another crack at it. He did not really have many struggling games last year, throwing for 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. Did not throw one against the Buckeyes, but he's going to get a crack at it this year. And then also Penn State, they have just a murderous defense. I'm excited to see how Nico kind of approaches the Nittany Lions. And then you look at some of these other teams in there. You got Michigan State. I think they'll roll the Spartans. There's a couple other teams. Maryland, I think they take care of a rematch with Nebraska. I see them winning that game against Dylan Raiola and Matt Rule. And I just think that when you bring Nico into this program, he adds two, maybe 3 wins to this team. And I think I can completely agree with Pete Nakos and On3 Sports that Nico is the number 1 most impactful transfer that has switched schools from this past offseason. That's going to do it for us here on the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast from the Fans for Sports Network on Sports Illustrated. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. Follow me at TCav30 on Twitter/X, and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. That is both on Twitter/X and over on Facebook. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again tomorrow.